Hi, everybody. This is Bill from Billboard Comics, and let me introduce you to a brand new and exciting day here at Billboard Comics. This is the first and what I hope to be a long and successful line of comic book and trade paperback and graphic novel reviews on the site. I decided to branch out a little bit onto the content here and there, just to add more than just the typical haul videos and my regular scheduled features of Girlfriend's Guide to Comics and Growing Up Comics. Um, I used to be a comic book reviewer for a website called Pop Matters from about mid to late 2000, the aughts, if you will. For a brief time, I was like the editor of the thing with two other people, but that corresponded to when my daughter was born, and I underestimated the effect of wanting to cuddle my daughter and feed her and wash her and take care of her and make sure she's healthy, uh, and how it would take away from my job duties there. So I failed miserably on that. So I apologize to everybody at Pop Matters, but I did do that, uh, and that's a little bit of my CV about this. I also used to do movie reviews for every so often for Film Buff Online, which you can probably see up on the website. So I do have a little experience reviewing stuff. So I'm figuring like, and one of my things I like about the site is like to open people's eyes for new stuff, and this will be part and parcel of that. So hopefully, you could tag along with me on the ride, and we'll have some fun. If you are a publisher who might want to have their items reviewed by me, you can contact me. I'll put like maybe my email down in the message center, and probably get in touch through social media as well if you want to. I might put that down there as well. I have got positive response from several companies, including the one company I'm reviewing now. But I was looking to see more and bigger options. Granted, my reach isn't really that big, so people might not be that interested. But I do appreciate anybody who want to reach out and do that. Uh, I'll try to review everything that comes my way as long as I humanly possible. And of course, if I get like overwhelmed, then I will make note of it. But if you, until then, you want to strike while the iron's hot and like the playing field is open, get your review copies into me some way. What I'm going to review today is a trade paperback called Punk Rock and Comics. This is published by a publisher by the name of NBM Publishing. For those of you unfamiliar with NBM Publishing, it is one of the oldest publishers going around today. It dates all the way back to 1976. It was known as the Flying Buttress back then. They became NBM in 1984. It is they specialize in introducing European creators into the United States to quality graphic novels. They did the works of Milo Manara, for example, and they also published the Coral Maltese adaptation, which you might remember from Frank Miller name-checking the title in his work on Dark Knight Returns. So they are a really legendary and storied company. I'd say that even if they didn't have me come on as being a reviewer um, of their stuff, if you ask around, you know that they're kind of like a high-end kind of publisher. So I expected a lot of good things from this book, and I was not disappointed. Just to uh, ease your things, the topic of the book is not about punk rock and comic books. You're not going to get a write-up of the guy with the mohawk that was in the Doom Patrol before Grant Morrison took over, or a detailing of John Constantine's musical career from the comic books. The NBW seems to do a lot now currently of historical books, especially music. They did one for Prince, they did one for David Bowie. This is a historical recounting of punk rock music. Uh, across the global sphere. Um, if you I'm a fan of alternative music, and alternative music seems to have a little bit of a Venn diagram overlap with punk. So I'm a fan of some punk music, but not all of them. I'm not a big. I can't say that I have an extensive knowledge of this, but I was interested in like finding out what they have there. Um, but let's talk about the actual graphic novel, uh, um, because that's what we're here for. I'm going to give you a review of it. Um, the First of all, let's start with the details of it. It's a book that's 7.5 inches by 10 inches. The format might be a little. It seems like it might be a little smaller than an actual regular comic book, or around the same size. But it does have 176 pages. It is full color hardcover. A hardcover copy will cost you $24.99. However, they do have an ebook version. You could buy it for Kindle or whatever for $16.99 if you want to save a little bit of money. And let's just say the book is really comprehensive. It is written by two French authors, Terry Lamy, I believe, and Nicolas Finet. Um, and it goes through the entire history of punk rock music. Many people might think like it started in the '70s with the Sex Pistols, but the authors go back even further to the '60s, where they cover bands like the MC5 and Iggy and the Stooges, um, and the uh, pub rock uh, revival in the late '60s and early '70s, to show you where punk got its start. Um, I thought that was very informative and very, very interesting read uh, to do that. As such, it is a very comprehensive read. They cover the whole time period from um, the pre-punk era all the way to about, I'd say about a little bit, touching a little bit on recent times. Um, the main meat of the book is dedicated to like the '70s and '80s punk bands. Um, like I said, it is comprehensive, but they do cover a lot of territory. And as such, you're not going to get a deep dive into anything in the actual graphic novel itself. Not that it makes a difference. Um, for me personally, the format and the writing style and the way it's presented reminds me a lot of a book that DC's imprint Paradox Press used to put out called the Big Book of Vice, Big Book of urban legends and all that kind of stuff. It's similar content. You get the whole eras are broken down individually, usually by um, band by band by band, and each individual one has a different artist, a European or African or Japanese artist. Um, it is a very global enterprise. You're not going to find like a lot of you know what you find in like Marvel, DC doing this one. This is basically from Europe mostly, and also from other outlying regions like Madagascar. I think one artist is from, and of course one is from a manga artist from Japan. Um, and so there you get like a little diversity for every kind of like subject. Um, Changing with the artist I have not. There's not one artist in here that I would consider bad or detriment to the enterprise. All of them are great artists. The thing is, like might your liking might vary depending on your artistic tastes. Um, some I like better than others. Some, I thought did a better job than others. But then again, it also ties into stuff like I really liked. Let me see here, Toru Terada, I believe it is. Was it Tizada, a manga artist, and he did the Ramon section. I love the Ramon, so I might be a little predisposed to actually like his artwork. But he did a really good, like, kind of mixture of Western and Eastern styles in retelling this. Um, Also, I had I also like the artwork of Christelle Picout, Pecout, um, who did a write up on the slits. Um, you might not know the slits there, but that goes to tell you the breadth and width of this. Your miles might vary for other artists. You might not like the ones I mentioned, but everyone, great storytellers, got the point across excellently, and it was inviting and opening. Um, um, Lammy and Vinay were really good about shaking up like each individual like story, like some a lot. The section on Johnny Thunder and the Heartbreakers is told from Johnny Thunder's perspective now. If you know about Johnny Thunder and the Heartbreakers, you know he died several about a couple decades ago. Um, so it's talking about him as in the afterlife, looking back on his life. I thought that was a very inventive idea. But next one you'd have like say like a radio interview detailing like the stuff during like this, or you have like one that presents like the ones with the Ramones presents them as kind of like a team of this is the bad one, this is the good one, this is the troublemaker, and stuff like that. Um, it shakes it up enough that it makes it interesting everywhere you go, even like if you're not a fan of the thing, it keeps your interest all the way through. Um, so overall, I like the book a lot. I also like the design element of it. Um, every book starts with a small written like article introducing the subject matter. Then it goes into the graphic novel section where it's the writing and art, and the new artist takes over, and they do like about 6 or 7 pages of the history of the band or whatever they're covering. And then at the end, there is a text uh, segment attached to the bottom. That's a closer, kind of like a coda of it. Um, some of these text things are a little repetitive. You always saw it portrayed in the actual like um, like the artistic portion, the comic book portion of it. Um, but it does allow you to go deeper than it would be normally in the the actual graphic novel part of it. Basically, graphic novel part of it is just hitting the guidepost and the like the little stops on the way of their history, like the big thing of all these bands. And it is comprehensive. It is like it covers the Sex Pistols and the Clash and the Ramones, but also covers like Slam '69 and the Slits and a bunch of other ones. It also explores out to cover bands that are on kind of periphery, not quite punk, but still have the punk ethos, like the Jam and Joe Jackson and Elvis Costello. Um, like I said, it's very well. It throws a blanket wide and gives you enough information on everything. Um, you might want to have more information included in there, but at 176 pages, they used their time enough to cover many of the people who made punk rock great in there effectively. So it's like if you want to know more about the Ramones, there's been enough like novels you could like nonfiction books you could read about them all the way through. Um, for the purpose of this as being a comprehensive history of punk rock told in comic book form, it is a very, very, very good example of that, in my opinion. But then again, like I said, like I'm not going to have every review like, well, you might think different. But then again, it's like a lot of stuff I picked out is because like I learned something about bands that are kind of famous, but I never knew about, like the Buzzcocks or the Damned. Um, they go into all that and like all different kind of stuff like this, and like it's fascinating like to find out more about them in a format that's easy for me to digest, being a comic book reader for like 40 years. If you do not have an interest in music or punk rock or anything like that, you might not. I found it interesting because I found documentary like media and interesting. You might not, um, but if you are predisposed to actually learn new things um, about new like about topics such as that you might not know about, it is a great like introduction to all like the punk rock world for you. It gives you a very wide-ranging overview of the thing, um, from CBGBs all the way to um, like how Motorhead took the punk ethos and applied it to hard rock. Everything's pretty much covered. Um, Was there anything bad that I didn't like about it? Um, I would like to have more coverage of like the post-punk era. They do cover it briefly in one segment of the book, um, but there's so much other post-punk. If you want to know a lot about Green Day or Offspring or you know even emo bands like Fall Out Boy or My Chemical Romance, which might have the kind of tie-in, you won't find it here. Basically, it's more pure punk rock from inception up to about like the 80s or 90s. It doesn't go much further than that. um, it seems at points that you have the I'd like to have like more touching on like the political applications and implications in the creation of punk rock in the actual comic books themselves. It seems like mostly this kind of deep dive of the societal origins of it happens in the text pieces, which is good. That's fine, um, but you know, and certain bands you can't really ignore with that. The Clash is a very political band, so they had to mention that in the actual body of the actual graphic novel section of dealing with them. But I would like to have like more of information about the time and the place and the political outlook that helped form this genre. But that's just me. It's there. I would like to have more of it. So basically, that's it. Um, Another good thing, going back to good things that I like, and I'm not sure if exactly like if it's a design element or it's just an errand scanning or whatever. I think it's a design element. I don't think it'd be this one. Every page looks like it's been put in somebody's back pocket, crumpled, and then unspooled and put in there. Um, some have like little. It looks like they have pieces ripped out of them on stuff like this. If that's a design element, I dig it because I wasn't really big in the punk scene in the United States. It kind of like I was only like 5 when it hit here, and by the time it was mostly over, I was like 11 or 12. So I wasn't really going to much the punk shows at the local punk factory. And then again, I lived in an area that punk kind of didn't really get into. It was a rural old coal mine town. So I don't have experience of it firsthand, but I did experience with like bar band culture, and I am familiar with like the flyers that's put on bulletin boards of bars saying the Badleys are coming here or whatever. It's all mimeograph paper, and the paper usually has been taken down, read, beer spilled on it. It fell on the floor, stepped on, and put back up again. It has like the pages of this book are designed to look like something that you might find on a wall of a punk club that has been around like little bit mangled. Not so much that it overpowers the actual like uh, reading or um, taking in of the book, but it adds to the verisimilitude of the actual text. The one thing I would have liked a little bit better, they have like for the text for artists, giving credit for the artists. Um, it's done in like a flat block style, like kind of like the um, like a stamp you would put on there, like on that, and it's designed to look like a stamp that doesn't have a lot of ink on it. The result is that it's really hard to sometimes make out. Like sometimes the U's look like R's or the B's look like R's. It's hard to like not really the letters aren't really clearly defined unless you look at it really closely. A lot of these artists did beautiful work at it. I would like to have like instead of like it fits with the ethos of the design choices that you're making, and I understand why they did it. But I would prefer to have a little bit more clarity in the actual um, names of the creators. It's a nit, and I'm picking it, but nonetheless. Um, let me see if I need anything else here. Also, another design element that I liked. Uh, Sorry about that. Wrote down my thoughts while I was reading it. Um, at the end of the book, it has a selected bibliography or a discography. I'm sorry, of 44 albums for you to listen to get the punk rock experience. Um, I own several, mostly the Ramones and stuff like that, a couple by the Clash. But that's a good thing to add on this because um, the the book it covers like all the major relations by mostly the artists in it. But if you're on chapter 15 and you're trying to figure out, remember, like like what what kind of things that um, were Irish punk bands were there and what albums that came out, you might forget it by the time you can finish with the 20th chapter, which is the last chapter. Having that there, it gives you a nice reference to take into record stores or on Amazon or on wherever you get your music, uh, to look and do further, um, experience these bands further, especially one particularly piques your interest, that you might not have heard of, might not be familiar with. I thought that was a great touch. Um, like I said, this book was supposedly released on the 18th, um, but I talked to somebody there because, just to check and see if it's in there. But they had a little problem with like the uh, books being shipped from, I guess, their manufacturer or distributor or whatever. So they might not be in your comic book store as of yet, but they should be there before long. So if you're interested in punk rock, I recommend this. I recommend this book, to people who love music, who love punk rock, or who love like anything that documentary stuff and love finding out new things about stuff that you might not know that much about. It fills those three qualifications really well. But if you go to your local comic book store, they might be able to, if they have it in, they might tell you when it's coming in. It might come in a couple days, or they could probably put one aside for you if it's not in yet, or if they haven't ordered any of it. Sometimes comic book stores don't order indie stuff like this. They could actually order it through Diamond or wherever it comes through, whichever. Well, Diamond's not left anymore, but like you know what I mean, the distributors that they work with. Um, but if you can't wait, or you're not going to be able to go to the um, your local comic store for a while, and you want to read this immediately, you can order it directly from the NBM website itself. I'll put a link to it in the bottom. Um, and it looks like they have it in stock and they'll be able to ship it out immediately. Um, but if you are interested in like going to like a bookstore, like either online or whatever, the release dates to the bookstores aren't going to be until April 6th. So you might need to hold off a little bit before you do that. Of course, if you go online to Amazon or Barnes and Noble, and I'll put links to the book down there in the comments, you'll could probably pre-order it and it'll be delivered when it comes out. But try to support your local comic book store if you possibly can. So that was my first review. I hope you liked it. If you liked the review, and if you'd like to hear more about any comic books that I have, that might be review copies that might be coming my way, um, hit the like, because that'll help with the algorithm and make sure that it raises up so other people could take advantage of this knowledge. And subscribe, because that means you'll be alerted every time there's a new video up. You just have to wait till the reviews come around, and I'll try to keep them as a separate category. And if you need to know anything else about the book, you need to find out like what I thought about other things about the book or what is included in there. Put in the comments, and I'll try to answer anything that comes around. And also to other publishers, if you want me to review your title, I'll put the information down in the comments section, and we might see you on a future installment of this sub channel. So until that, I recommend it highly. Punk rock and comics. Ask for it by name, and while you're out there trying to pick it up, just remember, keep on collecting.